right, it's that time of the week again. We're here with another episode of Asurion Live, and we are continuing our chat on smart homes and the connected home. This week, we're going to talk about smart thermostats. I have brought back my friend Chris, who is going to join us to chat about smart thermostats. You know, like a lot of other topics, they're Wi-Fi enabled. Chris, you know a lot about Wi-Fi enabled stuff. Thanks for joining us this week.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's really great to be here, and I look forward to sharing my smart thermostat with you guys.
Yeah, as we established last week, you have a pretty well equipped smart home. Um, it wasn't that way when you bought it. It is something that a lot of buyers are looking at when they are buying new houses, and a lot of people are looking at when they're looking to kind of make upgrades to their home. So let's get started by talking about what made you decide to incorporate a smart thermostat into your smart home.
For me, it was really, the biggest one was convenience. I commute 2 hours a day for work. I'm at work all day, come home. We do dinner in the nighttime routine. I have three really young kids. And the last thing I wanted to do, when I finally got to rest my head down at night, was to roll over and change the thermostat at 11 o'clock. And so the dream was, oh, wouldn't it be nice to just, tell my smart speaker or go on my phone and just bump it down a notch and just roll right back to sleep. And then the other part for a lot of folks, and more or less for me, was the cost savings. I pitched it to my wife, and she knows I love smart tech, but the cost savings bit, she was like, "Don't try to fool me with the cost savings bit. Like, you just want another toy to play with." But for us, convenience is worth quite a bit. We have a 2, 4, and a 6-year-old, so just that extra ounce of rest after a long day is really worth it for us.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about convenience when discussing smart home products. And there was a stat that I pulled for our conversation a couple weeks ago that I'm actually going to read off the screen because it's one of my favorite data points that we've talked about so far, that the average person spends 15 minutes a day turning various appliances and lights on, then turning them off, which equals 5,475 minutes a year. Personally, I like to be able to tell my home assistant to turn down my AC without leaving the couch. I know that makes me sound really lazy, but it's also really helpful to, not have to get out of bed if I'm hot at night and I can control it from my phone. You know, heating and cooling accounts for half or more than half of a household's energy use. So for some people, that could be a very big number. And smart thermostats do tout that they can save you both energy and money if you use them correctly. What are some of the features that make that possible? I guess, what makes them smart?
Yeah. I want to say the biggest one is the fact that it has sensors. It has sensors built in. You can even buy remote sensors, and they will take the temperature wherever you place them, as well as sense if someone's there. So what happens is, for example, there's a sensor on the thermostat. It's actually just right behind me. There's a little black box on the wall. And say I put this in my master bedroom. If it senses someone's in the master bedroom, it will actually average the two temperatures, and we'll use that to calculate if it needs to cool down the house or not. Now, let's say nobody is sensed in the master bedroom, but there's someone sensed out here. It'll only calculate what's being sensed around here for the temperature, and then again, calculate for that. Let's give you a better example. If there's no one upstairs, and obviously we have a lot of hacks in the past, perhaps, of trying to save the energy bill, right? By saying, hey, I don't want the AC to kick on. No one's upstairs. Let's bump it up to 80 so it just never pops on. For us, for the smart thermostat, if it doesn't sense anybody, it'll automatically kick it into away mode until somebody walks in. And that's probably where it saves you the most money. It also has something called geofencing, where you tie your phone in to the app, and it will, based on the GPS of your phone, if you leave a certain radius of your house, it will automatically kick it into away mode. And then when you re-enter, it assumes you're back home, and it'll start cooling it down again. So those are some really simple and straightforward ways it is smart and saves you money.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to that upstairs downstairs reference. Whenever I'm at my mom's house, that's the thing that she says. My bedroom, when I go to stay there, was upstairs, and every single day, we live in the South. It gets hot. Air conditions run a lot, but she would always be like, make sure the air conditioning's on 78 before you come downstairs. Make sure it's up to 80 so it doesn't kick on and use energy all day long when nobody's there. And I think that is a really important part of you know, of the smart thermostats, another feature that, you know, to me helps is that you can set schedules. I mean, most not smart thermostats, I guess you can call them, are programmable, but smart thermostats kind of take that to the next level. How do you use thermostats or the scheduling options for thermostats at your house?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm glad you brought it up. This is my old thermostat. I'm just going to cover this up here. This is my old thermostat right here. And there's that small screen. And you can recall turning the fan on or off, changing heat, cooler, auto. And then you would just you would be toggling through this over and over to set the weekday and what time for each day. With smart thermostats, what's nice is you can do it through an app or through their website, through a web portal, and you can create as many schedules as you want. So there's typically one for vacation. And what's cool is you can link your Google Calendar or your vacation calendar to the smart thermostat, and it'll automatically sync up. You can set a home mode, away mode. You can set one. I believe you can do custom ones. So we actually have a custom sleeping one. I call it pre-sleep, but it cools the house down a couple degrees cooler before it kicks into sleep mode. Pretty much, we all get pretty hot at night, so we like it nice and cool. But once we all kind of pass out, I don't want to waste money on having it cool the house while we're unconscious. So I let it warm back up a couple of degrees. Um, and that's one way you can use scheduling, but it makes it much easier than, again, dialing it in through this.
Yeah. I have a Google Nest thermostat. It was here when I moved into my apartment, which, you know, was great for me. But like we said, you did some research, you found out which one you wanted, and you have an Ecobee. The smart thermostat market isn't necessarily an oversaturated one, but there are a lot of options out there, and I know that different options have different features. Kind of walk us through what made you choose the model and the brand that you chose for your house and your family.
Yeah, and this is really just reflected on what my choices were. And I will say that a lot of the smart thermostats can do what the others are toting with a few different minute details. For example, Ecobee has its sensors that you have to buy, whereas Nest, I believe, can tap into the sensors in your smart speakers or different places. So it saves you getting a sensor on the side. What made me go with Ecobee, and there's other ones like my current one is actually a Honeywell, or my old one was a Honeywell. So I did look at Honeywell's options, but I felt like they weren't quite at the forefront of everything. Ecobee has some of the highest reviews. I did all my research online, really, and watched all these YouTubers go through it. And what really drew me towards it was it had Alexa built in. And at the time, we didn't have a ton of smart speakers around. So I wanted an easy gateway to use it hands free. And that was the only one at the time, and it might still be, that just had it built in. So that kind of, I guess, worked its way around of, all right, well, I'll just continue building through this whole Alexa world and using this thermostat. But it's a great way to program it, but also get a few Alexa features at the same time. So that's kind of why I went the Ecobee route.
Nice. You know, I think it's important to note that this could be a pretty quick and simple change for people that are looking to make a change in their homes. It's not, you're not replacing your entire HVAC system. You're just replacing your thermostat. But you have to make sure it works with your HVAC system. And we did a little bit of research, and you know, we found that some of the top questions that people have revolve around installation and ease of use, how easy it is to install, how easy it is to use. Did you DIY this yourself? Yes, that means, did you DIY this? And walk us through how that worked. What was that process like?
I did do it myself, and I'm no electrician. My dad would laugh at me when we became a homeowner. I started doing all these things around my house, and my dad's like, you don't do tools. Like, this is not you. And I was like, yeah, I do computers, but this is fun anyway. So it was something that, again, I went to Google, I went to YouTube, and I found out, you can pop off your old thermometer and you can see what wires it uses. And so based off of that, I'm going to show you where I went to. I'm going to share my screen here. And on their website, they have a compatibility checker. And from here, you can, you look at your current thermostat, and I would take off whatever wires it had back there. And then you can say, check your wires, and it'll tell you if it's compatible or not. And if not, you can also call a support number. So I thought that was pretty neat, and it was really straightforward. Um, Honestly, it took a lot less time than I thought. And I'll actually walk you over there. And it's funny because I get kudos. They're like, oh, wow, you installed it yourself. And I was like, yeah, I'm cool like that or something. But really, here it is. Let me make sure I get it in frame here. And you can pop it right off. But that's literally all there was to it. I took off the old one. I had five colored cables. I matched it up with the letters, and it, it worked. And yes, I would say make sure you go to your fuse box and turn things off and double check you have it all right, so you're safe. But it really wasn't too bad.
You also set it up, we have some pre recorded video about the ease of walking through the interface. It's a pretty easy interface. So you kind of took the time to show us this in a video. So I guess we can roll that now and just show how simple it is to set up.
All right, here's the thermostat. That red light means the proximity sensor is going off, so it sees me. And I'm going to show you how to adjust the temp really easily. If you want a manual override, you just slide this to whatever temperature you want your AC to go. Same with your heater. Slide this up to wherever you want the heat to kick in. I can check my my weather. And there's the forecast. And if I want to go to my settings, you can change your system to be heating, cooling, or an auto, or just straight up turn it off. Then there's your comfort settings. What you want, you set your comfort to be when you're at home or a way to save energy. You can say I've had it at 80 and 60 to be on when we're at home, and then also when you're sleeping. And you can add custom ones as well. Like I added one to pre-sleep, which cools down the house right before everyone falls asleep. If you're about to go on vacation, you can set a vacation mode to completely turn things off or turn it down. And then you have your sensors. You can tell, like in my master, it's a little warmer than it is right here. And there it says where it's at and what comfort settings you want it to be a part of. So there's that. And here I'll show you how the voice integration is built in. Alexa, tell Ecobee to turn the fan on downstairs.
Fan is on.
And there it goes. You can see it went into a new holding pattern. And Alexa is communicating. And I don't know if you can hear, but
I didn't hear that.
the fan
Please
just
try
turned
that
on
again.
right up there.
I could hear that. I heard the fan. I have a Nest, and I just walked over to the Nest in my apartment, and I have it. It has a similar proximity sensor when you walk up to it. And one of the things that I enjoy about it is that the Nest kind of learns from you. So when we were talking earlier about schedules, it does set a schedule, and you have all of these different settings. My schedule has been, it's running through all of it. It learns my behavior, and we've been home a lot over the last couple of weeks or months at this point. So it is learning my behavior, and it'll set based on what I do and how I adjust it. And you can see at night it kicks on later in the day. I have a balcony at my house, so I keep the door open most of the day. So I don't want the air condition to kick on while I have the door open, so I have it for several hours there. And that's probably my favorite feature about the Nest. I don't want to change anything with it, so I will leave it as it is, and I'm going to leave it on 80 because it makes a lot of sense just to see it that way. And that, I think, is one of my favorite features about the Nest. It programs itself and kind of creates a schedule for you. And like I said, the things that I particularly like about it is I can just say, okay, Google, turn the air down, and she'll listen.
I didn't understand.
She's not understanding me because I am probably speaking gibberish, but okay, Google, turn the temperature down.
Sure, cooling entryway down.
So now she's cooling down the entryway of my house, which I appreciate. I think it's great. One thing, to me, that is helpful. It is convenient. I like to try to pay attention to it, to whether or not it is saving us any money. These are all great features, and they're great to set up, but how do we know that they're working? Like, I know that you can access some stuff in the Nest menu. You and I, as we were preparing for this, kind of geeked out over the data that's available in the Ecobee dashboard. So what are some of the favorite things that, it's not something you go to every day, let's be honest, but it was enjoyable for us to look into it and to kind of see the kind of information you can glean from that dashboard.
Yeah, yeah. And thank you for setting up that premise. This is something I never really dug into prior to this. And there's nothing I go, hey, honey, check out our AC statistics going on here. But I was pretty impressed that you could export this like super detailed CSV file, the spreadsheet of all the information that is going on in here. I'm going to share my screen to show you. I have some pulled up here. So this here is my system monitor. And at the top here, it shows you in blue that the AC kicked on at these times and at what intervals. Below it in gray is the fan. This marker here shows that this was at May 16th at 3. This green line that you see climbing up is the outdoor temperature. So you can see that day it was 80 degrees sometime in the morning, maybe 10 a.m., and it hovered around 85 and then dropped back down here. The blue line here is the desired cool temperature I've set for that comfort zone. The orange here is a desired heating temp. And then the white is our indoor temperature. So for the comfort zone, what they always talk about, it's really this kind of zone in between your desired cool and your desired heat. And so it's trying to keep this white line right in the middle, regardless of where this green outdoor temp takes us. So just to show you
really
here,
cool.
you can see that the fan was just kind of pushing the air around, circulating it. It stayed really even between 8, 9, 10 o'clock. And then as things started to climb here, I believe this is one of us, we kicked that AC on real quick. And all of a sudden, it just forced it down. And you can see it's just keeping it down until this is our nighttime routine. It jumped back into its scheduled routine. And that was right when the outdoor temp cooled down.
Yeah, we were looking at this yesterday, and it was, that was May 16th, which was this past Saturday. And it was pretty hot here in Nashville. So one of the other screens, again, like I said, this was a, kind of a geeky moment for us, but we enjoyed it. The other screen that you and I looked at was the weather. So you can really see what the weather outside was doing at that time to have, encouraged you guys to kick the electricity or the air condition to pull the temperature down. So I guess I can see it in my preview monitor, but let's take that and you can walk us through what was happening on the 16th.
Yeah, so this is the weather impact. And you see on the left, we were at the system monitor. We moved down to this weather impact chart. And in black, it shows you the average temperature for that day. This is the month of May. See May 2020. And down here, you can see each day. So here's the average temp for the day. And you can see how much time we actually had the heat or the cooling stage on. So, what were the 15th to 16th? That one hot day where the average temp was above 73, we had the AC running for a good 6 hours. And then between that, we might have been away, but we didn't have to run it at all, And there you go. And then here you can see on the 9th, it got cold and the heater kicked on.
This is important to point out that we're looking right now, you have 2 thermostats in your house because you have a 2-story house. On the second thermostat is upstairs, which controls, among many things, your kids' playroom. And you can kind of see the difference between a floor that is regularly occupied and maybe one that's just occupied on occasion. So we looked into the follow me on the playroom. So this is where the kids hang out and spend a lot of time. And you can see they're so cute. I mean, I love these kids.
So, we are downstairs most of the time. That's where all the meals take place. And then we'll typically say, all right, you guys get to go play. We'll send them upstairs. And it looks something like this. And please forgive all the stuffies and everything on the floor. I think they're playing with their ice cream truck.
Love
And
it.
my
Love
oldest
it.
son is probably bored out of his mind because he wants to be with friends and play outside. There he goes. But to show you the chart, I want to show you what this shows like on our data chart here. Is you can see here at the top, it shows you what mode it's in, and this is based off your scheduling. And right now, it shows the home schedule is on, but in purple here is what they call smart away, and you can see it changed over here on the right. So at around 7:30, we have it kick into home mode. It did not see anybody up here, so then it shifted into smart away. And again, smart away had a wider comfort zone, so it actually set the cool not to kick in until it was about 80 degrees. So there you go. You can see the temperature indoors coming up, starting to raise up. And then the second it saw somebody upstairs, and this is motion right here, it went back to home mode. Now, at that
Nice.
time, the temp still wasn't outside of zone. So
Yeah.
it went into away when it didn't see anybody. The temperature still goes up. But the second you see someone step in here at around what, 6:45, it kicked back to home mode and the temp started to drop. And then nobody was there again.
So
And went back to
yeah,
away.
this
So that whole
this is a really
time,
great way
if
to
I were scheduled home, it would have been running.
yeah, this is a great way to illustrate those proximity sensors, which I know is a big part of why people buy smart, smart thermostats in general. I want to come back to what we talked about at the very beginning of our conversation, which was you went to your wife and said, I want this and it'll help us save money. And she said, that's probably an excuse and you just want a new toy. But while we were digging through all of this stuff, which is available, we're going through the Ecobee now, but you can get a lot of the similar data from the Nest platforms and some of the Honeywell and additional thermostats. We're just speaking from our personal experience, but we found a screen in your dashboard that actually shows that you were right about saving money. Do you have that one pulled up that we can see?
I
And you can
do.
show us that they basically, what we discovered is, they've paid for themselves.
Right. And again, it's comparing it to a 72-degree hold benchmark. But it's saying had a runtime savings of 15 hours, which equated to $12.50 for the month of April. And since I registered and got it in July 2017, it's saying I estimated saved $671. So it paid for itself.
Yeah. That's pretty great. And I do want to remind anybody that's watching, like, you and I, while we were prepping for this, it was a serious, like, let's just look at the data and get excited about it. And it was an opportunity for you and I to geek out over it. It is something that is a set it and forget it. And the beauty of the smart device is that it can learn your behavior. It can, sense when you walk into a room. And like we said at the beginning of the conversation, you had never even looked at this stuff before. So I don't want people to get intimidated by it and think that you have to set all of this stuff up to make it work.
That's absolutely right. We said it, and I'm glad to see we're saving money. Yeah, that was again first time going through all those charts, but it's really interesting to see.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris, again for joining us this week. I love having you. We get to see each other face to face a little bit more when we're usually in the office, so I appreciate you taking the time to spend with us. That is all the time we have for today, so we're going to say goodbye. But if you have any questions about smart home, leave them in the comments. We also have a link to our website in the comments that can give you more information. So we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.